I'm Mr. Roboto, back again with a September 17 trade review. Today, I'm just going to focus on the Tesla puts trade that I took and talk a little bit about sizing up and why I decided to size up today. Today was a pretty good day, but this Tesla trade was really the thing, or really the trade that stood out to me. So let's dive right in. So the market's still open, but I wanted to go ahead and say I had this 30-minute supply zone on Tesla. So today was very bearish. So I was mainly playing puts on anything I played today. I didn't want to go against the market. So I was looking to play puts on for the most part and to go with the trend. So if we look at the 30-minute here, I actually got my zone on Tesla off of this candle right here. So you can see there is this green basing candle. Yeah, it has this long wick right here, but it can still work. So I took this green basing candle and noticed that from here, Tesla sold off last time. So I took the open of this base candle, of this green basing candle, and I bring it all the way to the top, and this forms my 30-minute supply zone. And then let's see how that worked for today. But before we do that, let's see how I got my 30-minute demand zones. There's a 30-minute demand zone here that I ended up, I think this actually needs to be moved up a little bit to right here. So yeah, this was my 30-minute demand zone. And then there was a very weak, 30-minute demand zone right here. So you notice it dropped. Tesla based a little bit and then dropped again. So this is potentially a 30-minute demand zone. But the fact that this zone has like such a long wick, I kind of mark it as weak. So it's like, you know, not as bright. It's a 30-minute demand zone, but it's weak. So the way I play these is I look for a bounce, and if I'm in, like if I'm in puts, for example, I'm looking to scale here and not like, I'm looking to scale, like maybe take my entire position off or something like that, because I know that if there is a bounce here, it's only going to be here for, you know, 30 minutes or something before it slices through, because it's, again, a very weak demand zone. So that was my zones going into the today, but there were some other important things on Tesla that I did have, that I did do for technical analysis. You'll notice I had this upper trend line. I identified this in pre-market. There's 1, 2, and then there's like a third touch here. So this is today. None of this was here yet. So there was this upper trend line here that I marked in pre-market today. So, you know, there's two ways to play this. You know, if it breaks this upper trend line, perhaps consider going long, or you watch to see if the price action gets stuffed at this upper trend line. So yeah, that was the extent of my technical analysis going into today. And to be honest, Tesla didn't have that much entry for me until I saw this. This is the thing that really caught my eye. And I'll tell you why it caught my eye. One, it's right here at this upper trend line that I had identified, right? And it's struggling to get through it, okay? And then 2, Tesla had this push in the morning. Yes, Tesla did have some relative strength. It did have this push in the morning, but look at these wicks, these top wicks. So this tells me that there's buyers here. They want to bring Tesla up, but I think, but they're scared and they're selling early because, you know, it's hard to go long on anything when the entire market is selling off, and that's what happened with SPY and QQQ today. If you were watching, they were both selling off today. So very finicky buyers here. They're not holding their positions. You know, they're essentially scalping. They're buying down here and they're selling, buying here and selling, buying here and selling. So this brought down Tesla. And then my actual entry. So if you see on the 2-minute, I'll talk a little bit about why I entered right here. So 1, I mean, there was so many things, so many factors that were in confluence that kind of made this an A++ trade for me, and why I chose to size up on this. So there's this trend line right here. You notice, and it broke through this trend line. This was my entry. This was my first entry, and I sized up here. And if you look at this on the inverse, you can see this even better. Look at this. So, there's this downward wedge, this trend line, and you play the break of this, and then, you go for the pop, right? So, this is the inverse. You would play puts because of this, right? And look, this is a pretty nice retest right here, right? It goes up, and then it retests, and then it continues. But so that's one factor, right? So I like this trend line break. The other factor in confluence was that it was getting stuff at this upper trend line that I had identified. The other factor was that this weakness from this morning, right? And the fact that we're testing the supply zone again, but we're not even able to pierce it. So that right there is just additional weakness to me in the stock. We're not even able to pierce this supply zone that we were able to pierce earlier, right? And then very lastly, the thing that really convinced me that I needed to go take Tesla short and I needed to go long heavy was that if you notice, so this is when I took my position, right? And the time on this was 13:15, okay? This is 13:15 on the QQQ or NQ, okay? You notice NQ had this little pop, Tesla popped with it, and then NQ started dropping. And then this is 13:15 is around when I took my Tesla position. But you'll notice it's already dropped a lot. It's pretty much already rolled over. But Tesla is still right around here, right? So this tells me Tesla is lagging the indices. But, someone commented in Twitter, was this a good trade because Tesla had relative strength? And I get the point that person's trying to make. Yeah, it's like, well, why would you short something that has relative strength in the market? But I kind of counter that with, if something has relative strength, they're not going to be able to hold up the market. Like Tesla's not going to be able to hold up NQ, right? If NQ is so weak on the day, eventually Tesla is going to resemble that, somewhat. So, there is an opportunity to take overextended, relatively strong tickers on the day. And if the indices is truly weak, go ahead and potentially take that trade. Because my thought was that Tesla is eventually going to catch up to QQQ. Now, the move to the downside might not be as exaggerated as QQQ, but Tesla is going to is going to follow it somewhat. So this convinced me. At 13:15, QQQ looked like it was going to knife down, and it did. QQQ, like right here, I was like, holy shit, Tesla is still up here, and QQQ looks like it's about to die. I need to go and I need to take Tesla puts right now. So confluence with all these factors, these upper wicks, this upper trend line, the fact that it couldn't even get in, touch this 30-minute supply zone from the morning, and then this break, all those factors convinced me that I needed to take Tesla short, or take puts on Tesla, and that's exactly what I did. So I took my entries on the 2-minute, a little bit easier to see, but I went ahead and marked. So the teal are my entries. So I took it here, and I went ahead and doubled my normal size, and then my goal was to actually hold it to this 30-minute demand zone. So I took my first scales here. I took off 3. I took off a third of my position here, and I wanted to hold it longer to see if if I can get past this 30-minute demand zone, because I did identify this as a weak demand zone, right? But and then it started going against me, and I was like, well, let me go ahead and take another one off. So I took some more off right here, and then I kind of just like convinced myself, because at this point QQQ was like straight dying. I convinced myself that I needed to hold and hold this out longer. So you can imagine the emotions that I'm experiencing at this point. One, I've taken a position that is heavier than I've taken in a while, and I'm pretty green on the trade already. And I don't want to I don't want to go red on the trade, and two, I want to maximize my profits. So I took a little bit off here. Again, this was a very emotional sell, but it's okay. And then it started going my way, and I took some more off here. And then this little bump, I wasn't worried about this at all. And then it knifed down, and this was great for me. So I took more off here, and then I actually I didn't take off any here, but at this point QQQ was like rebounding, but then it had died, it had rolled over. So my thought was, I'm going to add to my winner. Something that I've been trying to focus on for September was to add to my winners. So on this little 2-minute spike right here, I went ahead and added back half of the contracts that I bought originally. And then down when it went down to here, I was super euphoric on this trade, and I was super happy about it. And I went ahead and took off, at this point, about 75% of my position, my remaining position at this point. And then when I saw this rebound, I was like, well, I'm super happy for today. And I went ahead and just closed out the rest of my contracts here. So yeah, that was essentially it. It's a good thing. There was a little bit of more of a move here that I could have caught, but look at this. This was a great rebound on Tesla. So it did have relative strength on the day, but that doesn't mean there's no opportunities to go short on something. Yeah, you can argue it's probably riskier, but I can also argue that if something is showing relative strength for the day, but the indices truly are selling off, then sooner or later that relative strength is actually going to be overextension. And when something is overextended and the entire market is down, that ticker all of a sudden becomes a good candidate for a short, in my mind. So yeah, that's the extent of my Tesla trade. A couple of other really good trades today. I did mention low. I took this in the morning. This was a really good trade, really good breakout trade. You can see it here. But yeah, and then I took a couple of paper cuts in the middle of the day, but it's nothing to really put a damper on my P&L for the day. So yeah, great day of trading. If anyone has any questions, if anyone wants to talk about the Tesla trade, or if anybody I don't know, just wants to hit me up, I hope everyone has a good weekend, and let's get some rest, and let's make sure we study, do some charting, and then let's kill it again on Monday. Mr. Rado, I'll talk to you later.